Did
Also,
she leave or like
90 minutes is not like that's a whole movie.
Yeah, I could have watched The Incredibles.
You could have watched 1/4 of Uncut Gems.
I still haven't seen it.
It's a terrible, terrible movie.
Really? So many people love it.
Yeah, well, they can go fuck themselves. I'm so
Yeah,
pissed.
and
Nathan and
so
I are
can Adam
so
Sandler.
pissed off about that movie.
Should I watch it or no?
No, that's the only movie ever in my entire life. Well, that's false. But in a long time that we have just like turned off a movie, and we thought that
Whoa.
we were like 3/4 of the way through, and we were like 1/4 of the way through, and we're like, we're not
Holy
sitting through this. Like,
shit.
we can't. Like, some movies you're like, okay, you're at the end, you're like, this is really uncomfortable, but like the payoff might be worth it. Like Parasite's a movie
Yeah,
where you're
it's so
uncomfortable the
good.
entire time, but like
And it's
the
so
payoff,
good.
and it's so good. But this movie was like your heart was just racing and for all the wrong reasons, like
Yeah.
from the
That's what I've
beginning.
heard. It's like very anxious movie.
Yeah. But do not recommend.
Okay, I won't watch it. It was on my list on Netflix. I'll
Well,
delete
take
that
it off.
bitch.
Would you like to start talking
Yes,
about
I
our
would.
podcast?
I would love to get started talking about our podcast.
All right, let's do it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Make Me, the podcast where Julia and I make each other do things we couldn't be bothered to do ourselves. My name is Jordan Steadman.
And my name is Julia Weeks. Welcome back.
It's episode 7, you guys.
It's so good to see you again.
Did you guys think we would make it that far?
If you didn't, you're not a real fan.
Yeah, but also I feel like when we started, I didn't know what was going to happen,
I know, me too. I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Stay F Homekins, and Paul was saying that all podcasts are somewhat of a death sentence where you're just like trapped within the system.
Right. Either you like start a podcast and then you don't follow through, or you follow through, but like that's its own like curse where you have
for the
to
rest
continue.
of your life. There's no end point in sight.
Yeah. Which
Well,
I'm okay with
enjoying
that.
it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah. How's your week going?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I got stuck in a rainstorm when I was biking the other day,
Oh my gosh.
and I was soaked all the way through. I was like having a depression day, and I was like, I guess I'll go for this bike ride that I've been putting off all day long. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to go. And then it started downpouring, like flash flood while I was biking. And somehow that just like snapped me out of my depression. And I had the best time ever. And I was like blasting through puddles with my arms up, like screaming past people who were under bridges trying to stay dry. Everyone was like, okay.
As Hillary Duff once said, let the rain fall down.
I'm coming clean. I'm coming clean. Who goes first this week?
Let's see. I think that it is you. I went first last week. I did microwaves first.
Right. Okay. So you want to get into it, or do you have anything else to say to our lovely listeners?
I haven't checked how many people subscribed.
I haven't
either. Our gentleman's agreement that if we get 50 subscribers, then we'll make some merch to sell.
Yes.
Still stands. And
Still
who knows
stands.
if we even hit that. Maybe you've already hit that for some reason.
I don't feel like we have, but fingers crossed.
Not to gaslight our listeners, but that's how we feel, is that we don't feel like you've all subscribed yet. So
you don't appreciate us enough yet.
And we're not feeling it.
Not that we have talked to many of you at all.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's get started.
Cool.
What did I make you do? I totally forget.
All right. This week you made me do multiple personality tests. I think you said 3.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
And compare results.
Okay.
So, before I get started, what's your relationship with personality tests?
So my relationship comes in 2 separate waves. The first wave being like Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
And Enneagram, that kind of stuff. And then
But wait, what way were you connected to those?
Oh, I really like them, and I love to like read about myself. So like anything like
Yeah.
astrology or like Myers-Briggs, something like that. I love that. And then I had an internship once where like the company made everybody do their Myers-Briggs
Huh.
to kind
Like
of
the
find
full
out
one.
the full one. Yeah. And that was great. I am an ENFP.
Nice.
And I actually get anxiety every time I do these personality quizzes, like again, because especially Myers-Briggs, because I would hate to find out that like something else is something, you know what I mean? Like I love to attribute like my entire personality to like
Right.
this thing. Um, and Enneagram, I've had friends who were interested. I don't remember exactly even what my
Yeah.
number is or anything like that. And
Yeah.
then that my second wave is like BuzzFeed quizzes. So I could tell
Yes.
you like what Disney princess I am, like based off of like my favorite like cocktail.
Tell us your favorite season and we'll tell you what sandwich you are.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I love those.
Do you remember on Facebook when you can make those quizzes for yourself?
Yes. Do you remember I think in college, you could make a quiz about yourself and have your friends take it, and then you could rank yourselves?
Oh my gosh, yes. That was
Yeah.
always like really hard and like
Yeah.
nerve-wracking. Also, like what a toxic way to
Yeah.
like make to make your friends like prove that their friendship for you with
How
you.
do you not remember who I had my first kiss in the Phi Psi fraternity with?
Right. Wait, wait, the first kiss was with the entire Phi Psi fraternity.
I mean, first kiss of a Phi
It
Psi.
was on the 13th plank with the entire fraternity.
Yuck. Did you do Quizilla? Like this was before Facebook.
Was
It
it
was a website where there was just like anyone could make quizzes. So it would be like, what, hey Arnold character are you? Like, what colors best subscribe to your personality? And then it'd be like really weird niche ones too. Like, what sex position best suits your favorite type of sock?
based on the character of Friends that you like the
Yes.
most? I know it by name. I can't remember necessarily. I'm sure I've been on it, but
Yeah. I just remember them being like way too raunchy for my, I don't know, like 12 to 13-year-old brain and
I feel
feeling like I was
like
doing something wrong.
yeah, I feel like that was the entire internet for us at 12
Yeah.
and 13 because it was people had known about like sexual predators, but people didn't know about like the normal content that like we could
Right.
access that wasn't necessarily like predatory or like
Right.
outwardly like porn.
Right. Also, I remember even just doing those dolls. I don't even, it was some like doll dressing game, but you could see them naked. And I was like, this is too much for me.
I feel hot.
Anyway, so I did some research into personality tests in general, and then also each or two of the three types I took.
Okay.
So personality tests, for those who don't know, are just like methods of assessing human personality constructs or traits. And they're usually highly introspective, meaning you like fill out a quiz or like you have to read a bunch of the categories and like self-subscribe yourself to one of them. And they're usually self-reported, but there's ones that are like peer reported or is a mixture of like peer and self-reported, but those are less common. And because of that, it's really hard to determine their effectiveness because you have to be very honest in your while you're actually taking the test, and also you have to know yourself really well. You have
Yeah.
to be like honest about your personality traits. So instead of thinking you're super ambitious but you're not, you have to know like I wish I was ambitious but I'm actually a procrastinator.
Right, exactly. And also like some people just like aren't self-aware whatsoever
Right.
and like they think that I'm not going to say they think that they're good or bad, but I think that they have a different idea of themselves.
Yes,
And it could be worse than
definitely.
how they actually are or it could be better than how they actually are.
Right. And we all know people on both sides.
Yeah. And
But
I'm
the
not one of
first
those people.
no, definitely not. The first like modern personality test in the way that we know personality tests where you're like answering multiple or like you're answering questions on a Likert scale or Likert-ish scale was in the 1920s, and it was developed by the armed forces to help select new army members that were less prone to shell shock,
Oh, weird.
which as we know now about PTSD, it's not your personality that leads you to PTSD. It's
Right.
trauma.
Yeah. I mean, anything to not blame the military.
Right, exactly.
It's not the military, it's just you as a person.
Yeah, you are at fault here because we put you in a literal war zone. But now it's it's estimated that the whole personality test industry makes yearly $2 to $4 billion.
Whoa.
So it's huge. It's a huge industry, and there's like approximately 2,000 tests out there, like formal tests that have backing and like research and people that administer the tests and et cetera, et cetera.
Do you know where that money is, like what like that money is coming from? Is that from like the cost of like like an individual person taking the test, or is that money coming in to do research?
So most of the money is from people paying to do the test and people paying for the assessments
Hmm.
and like all the things that come with it. So,
Gotcha.
for instance, the Strengths Finder test, you pay to take the test, which is like $50. So, and people, whole companies will take it. So that's already a lot of money. And then you have to pay for the workbook that tells you the in-depth results of what you are, and then also tells you like how you work well with other people based on your and their strengths.
Yeah.
And also there's people that their whole job is to administer these tests and then walk people through like workshops and weekends about how to like best organize your company based on strengths and weaknesses.
Okay. That's, for some reason in my head I'm like, the amount of money people pay to not go to therapy is like outlandish to me.
But so, I mean, the way I see it and what I've read is that none of these tests are to tell you like you are this type of person, therefore you can blame yourself, like blame your actions on it.
Right. You don't have to hold yourself accountable, because then you can be like, I'm this way. Which
Right.
I'm not going to go into astrology.
No,
People
let's
can
get into it. It's
people
similar.
people can weaponize astrology. I'm like pro astrology. I like it.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people want to be like, well, I'm just a Scorpio, so I can't control my emotions. It's like,
Right.
no, if you actually cared about yourself, you would, if this is something that you believe, then you would recognize that about yourself and like find ways to like use that to your advantage, and then also neutral out the points where it's like
Right.
disadvantaging you,
Right.
you
So
know?
instead of being like, I'm, I don't know actually like what ascribes to what. So this is going to be wrong, but like I'm an Aries. So therefore I'm, I lie a lot. I'm deceptive.
Yeah.
So, or deceitful, whatever the word is. Um, Instead of saying like, oh, well, I'm just going to lie all the time, you would say like, I know that I'm more like I lean towards lying a lot, so I'm gonna focus on that and try to fix it.
Right. And like if my default right now is to like not tell the truth for my own personal gain, which for the record, Aries aren't necessarily
Thank
deceitful,
you.
but I understand the point that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
Um if your default is to start lying, use the fact that like I know this about myself to be like, you know what, maybe
Yes.
like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, especially if
Yes.
it's only for my own personal gain.
Yes. So similarly, these personality tests have been developed as a way to like identify certain personality traits so that you can work better with people, like so you can have better interpersonal relation
Yeah.
basically. And so they're used by, there's like I said, billions of them, thousands. But they're used by like therapists and relationship counselors and school counselors and employers and people hiring and like organizations when they're trying to find new members, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And it's not, well, the intention is that it's not so you can weed out certain personality types. It's so that if I know that I'm a type 4 and you're a type 5, then we can look through the books to say, this is how we best get along. This is where we'll likely find conflict. And here's how we can preemptively stop that from happening. So if
Right.
you and I are in a relationship and I'm like, I just don't understand why he doesn't like think the same way as me. Well, you can do the test so it's on paper instead of just me inferring things about you and you inferring things about me.
Yeah.
So you can kind of work it out outside of interpersonal relationship.
Right.
Before there was like personality tests, like written tests, there was phrenology, which is where this kind of comes from, which was, now looking back, is so dumb, but it's assessing your personality based on how you look, like your appearance, and literally the knobs on your head, on your skull, the way your skull is shaped.
Have you ever seen those like diagrams of like old phrenology, like of like your skull and like the different like parts of like your skull that like represent different parts of your personality?
Yes. And they were very racist,
Right.
because they were developed by white people.
The
And
whole idea
obviously
is like ridiculous.
Right. It's like, oh, let me find a way that I can judge people on appearance more than just my human tendency to do so.
Right. Like, let me make my racism like justifiable.
Yes. So there's obviously, that is one of the dangers. And there's dangers similar to that with personality tests now, like even the more formal ones that have had years of testing and refining, because people don't take it as a way to grow. They just take it as a definitive. So one, you can weed people out, or you can like discriminate based on the test, but it's actually just a way to discriminate populations you were already going to discriminate against. Via stereotypes. There's also like privacy issues if you're going to do this as an employer, because you have to like give pretty sometimes sensitive information out.
Yeah.
And also, just based on the nature of the tests, your results can vary day by day. If you had a bad day, you might not score the same way as you do tomorrow, on your birthday, whatever. And also, because of that, there's like false positives. So you might hire someone saying like, oh, they scored as a leader. We love the leaders in our company. And then actually they're like very reserved, but they just happen to score that way that day.
Yeah.
And also the biggest thing I found was that people that critique these, which I think there is a lot of room for critique, they say that they're just not inclusive enough. Like, human beings are so dynamic that it's not fair to assess someone based on one test, or especially the shorter tests, or the tests that weigh your character off of like fewer characteristic traits. So like the Myers-Briggs gives you 4 categories of traits and then lists you within those 4, like finds where you land within those 4. And there's only 14 options of combinations of those 4 traits.
Right.
So how can every person fit into that?
Yeah. And also I feel like, especially when businesses are like having their employees take this test, they're looking at that through the lens of like productivity.
Right.
Which like comes with its own set of problems.
Yes. And I read this article from the New Yorker, and there's a woman that was writing a book about Myers-Briggs, like the mother-daughter duo that invented the test, which I'll get into later. But
okay, hold on. Here's my ingrained sexism that I thought that it was men, but
I did too. But the author of that book said she sees Myers-Briggs test and just personality tests in general as the quote silliest, shallowest product of late capitalism.
Yeah.
Because it's a commodification of your personality. And so she was like, even if no one made you do the exam, you're just doing it to know how you would fit into certain organizations, you're commodifying yourself.
Yeah.
You're saying like, how can I use these personality traits of myself to like get ahead?
Yeah.
So
isn't that what therapy is though? And mindfulness?
I don't think it's as manipulative. You're just saying like, you're just being aware of yourself to fix to help you ease yourself, not to like like weasel your way into success.
You're right.
I mean, that's how I see
Yeah.
it. I don't know what your therapist is telling you.
I don't have one anymore, so.
I thought you were going to like Tony Robbins for therapy.
Yeah. I've been using mindfulnessapp.com.
Well, also speaking to the fact that this is a $2 to $4 billion industry, you can't do any of the full tests online.
Mm-hmm.
And most personality tests actually, like a high percentage of the 2,000 that are out there, use the Myers-Briggs model, which is just giving you two binaries and you have to decide like which one you match with more.
Yeah.
So I did like versions of each of these, except for one. Anyway, just because you can't find them online.
Yeah.
So I did a version of the Myers-Briggs test called ontruity.com, which is just like a website where you can do a bunch of personality tests. So it's based on the like 4-category model of the Myers-Briggs. I also did the Enneagram, and I did 3 different versions of the short ones to try to like get a better understanding. And then I did the Clifton Strengths Finder, which I actually have done the full version of because this organization I was part of had us do it. It's like a leadership training, and they had us do it as a way to better understand ourselves in our organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did a BuzzFeed one just because
Yes.
why not?
I love it.
Okay, so for Myers-Briggs, I did a lot of research because it was interesting to me. So I found out that it's a mother-daughter duo that started this like in the 20s. And the mother, Catherine Cook Briggs, was like basically made it her life's work outside of being a homemaker to develop this test or some kind of way to evaluate personalities, because as a woman in the home, she was noticing that, you know, people are different in family structures. People are just generally different, and they have personality traits that often clash with each other. And she was thinking she wasn't doing this as a way to like commodify anything. She wasn't trying to make any money from it. She was just saying like, how can I ease tension in the household or in groups of people? Because it's not valuable to try to change people. It's valuable just to like accept someone for who they are and then try to work with them based on your like differing personality traits.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, she made it her life's work, and she died before it became anything of substance really. And so her daughter picked it up and
It's like
did the
Van
same
Gogh
thing.
or
Is it?
Picasso. No, Van Gogh. Yeah, he wasn't famous when
Oh yeah.
he was alive.
Yeah. But her daughter apparently was like saw the beginnings of it becoming popular, like the actual test, but then died like pretty recently after.
No.
But I thought it was cool that they were like, the whole point was how to make people less unhappy and how to have better interpersonal relations.
Yeah, and not to go too far into like what all like the results and stuff in that test are, but like it's good to know if your partner is introverted and you're extroverted, and
Yeah.
if you're running into like social anxieties or like you guys are having trouble like deciding what to do, it might be because one person just prefers to be in by themselves and the other person prefers to be out.
Right.
And you can either decide that's like a detriment to your relationship or work around it.
Right.
Or through it.
Right. So the test is, like I said, a bunch of binaries. You just pick between two. So it'll be like, when reading a book, would you rather the author have like a clear, definitive tone, or would you rather them go on abstract narratives and storytelling?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are saying that they don't like a lot of those binaries don't make sense because they're not direct binaries.
Right.
It'll be like, do you like wearing makeup and getting dressed up, or do you like taking naps? And like you can like both of them equally.
Yeah.
So you have to like say which one do you more agree with.
And like depending on my mood, sometimes I'd rather put on makeup and go out. But other times I'm like, no, I'd rather take a nap.
Right. And so there's 4 categories and 14 total combinations. So you can only get one of 4 results for the Myers-Briggs, or, you know, similar Myers-Briggs scaled personality test like the one I did. But statistics show that more than half of people who take the Myers-Briggs or similar test a second time get a different result. So it's not, that's a wide difference.
That is really, that's really wide. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were saying like, you fall within a few of them typically.
Yeah.
So I got ENFJ,
Ooh.
which is the teacher. And let me just read you what it says about me. So it says, ENFJs are idealist organizers driven to implement their vision of what is best for humanity. They often act as catalysts for human growth because of their ability to see potential in other people and their charisma in leading others.
I love it.
Which, yeah, I mean, it sounds similar to me. So they gave me 3. They said, like, these are your very good matches and then you're a good match. They didn't give percentages. And I also have ENFP, which you said you are, right?
Yeah.
Or which is the champion. And then the commander, ENTJ. But they gave you all these like readouts, which was really cool, saying like your dominant energy style is extroversion and your dominant cognitive style is intuition versus sensing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was really fun to see. And like, oftentimes things would be like right on the line. So it'd say your life management skill has a slight preference for judging over perceiving.
Right.
Which, like, who knows what that means really? Grand scheme.
Yeah, that was, whenever I took it, that was always one that like messed me up, because ENFP, like perception over judgment. And I like to think that I'm a pretty, objective person and I like to take in facts, but who knows? Maybe my emotions do overrun my decision making.
Maybe. It just really depends on the moment. But I feel like I've taken a bunch of these Myers-Briggs type before, and I usually have like ENF something.
Yeah.
So I feel like you fall along. That also could just be my bias based on what I got recently, and false remembering.
But also, like, there could be like, I think that there is a truth to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that as critical as we're being about it, I think that just comes from, it's smart to be critical.
Right.
And not rely heavily on it. But if you think about it in the right way and use this as you use these personality tests as like a lens to look through and perceive your life and, kind of be, some people just can't, like, don't know how to look at themselves.
Right.
And these tests could just be a tool to like look through to be able to do that. Yes,
definitely. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm always trying to like figure out why I do things a certain way. Yeah. And so for me, I feel like it's more validating than anything else.
Right.
Because I can be like, okay, thank God someone else sees that this is the way I perceive life.
Right.
There's like nothing worse than doing a personality test and it's like so different from what you are. Or like if you really subscribe to astrology and then like all of a sudden you get a weird horoscope that like doesn't have to do with you at all, and you're like, what? My perception of myself is totally gone. Okay, anyway, moving on to the next one. This one I did a while ago. It's called the StrengthsFinder test. The whole point of the StrengthsFinder test is for people that are in organizations that are trying to like find their leadership style or their team style.
So we can make more money.
Basically, yeah. So I've done it in 2 different scenarios, and one was with my team at work, like in an office setting, and one was at this leadership retreat that I did. That are like, it's like trying to train you to be a better leader. So already I'm like jaded about it.
Yeah. I would be too.
But this one was cool because it gives you your top 5 themes. And it doesn't call them like your identity. It just calls like your theme. So where you tend to navigate to in a group setting. And then also it gives you all of the other themes as well and gives you like a map if you pay for the whole thing, which I don't recommend. It's like $100 book or something. and a DVD. And like, even then it says it's better if you have someone facilitating you through it and whatever. But it gives you a map to say like what your direct opposite is, what ones are very similar to you. And then it says how to cooperate with them, or like where you'll have points of tension, which was helpful when thinking about like, if I want to be a leader in my field, I'm going to have to deal with people that I do not vibe with at all.
Yeah.
And how do I appeal to them without losing my sense of self? And then I took a BuzzFeed quiz that I tried to like find a base one that's just like personality test.
Yeah.
And there's some that are like, cause I was like, I don't know if there's like less options, like the Disney princess ones, there's only so many options.
Yeah.
And I feel like the problem with those as like an actual way to determine who you are is that there's like, you never know what the other options are. So you just kind of have to like take it blindly.
Yeah. And I feel like with like Disney princesses or like, I don't know, like Office characters, like, which one you want. And
Right.
there's
Right.
a limited amount of answers. So like doing more abstract ones where
Right.
like you don't know what an ENFP means, or like
Right.
whatever your like Enneagram number means. Like you get to find that out later. But
Right.
like if you think in your head, okay, I want like Pocahontas.
Right. Then you're
And
gonna say, it says like, what's your favorite song to sing in the shower? You're
yeah,
gonna pick Colors of the Wind.
exactly. So wait, what did you take and who'd you get?
I got questions. Oh wait. Answer these 20 questions and we'll tell you your dominant personality trait.
Oh.
So I got personable, which I feel like is a dumb word. Like, doesn't it make you think like just it's an adjective that means you're a person. You're a human being.
Your biggest personality trait is that you possess a personality.
You are within a human body. So I asked Gary, I was like, is this my dominant trait? And he goes, I mean, it's one of your traits, but isn't it one of everyone's traits?
I would disagree. I think that I know too many people who are just not personable.
True. Like, what's up with people that don't try to have conversation with you?
Okay, I feel like I'm that person, but
No
once
way.
you do get to know me, I am personable.
Yeah, I guess I feel the same way too. I feel like people are intimidated by me and won't talk to me, and then when they do, they're like, "Oh, you're nice."
Yeah.
So is that personable? That seems standoffish.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
whatever.
I'm confused by the term personable.
Yeah. I think it just means like people are attracted to you for whatever, not like physically.
Right. That makes sense.
All right. Anyway, last one. I did the Enneagram. I talked to my dad about it because I first got turned on to the Enneagram via Pete Holmes' podcast, You Made It Weird. And I know Eckhart Tolle talks about it a lot. It's like a very spiritual type of personality test. It's kind of like based in the Christian tradition, but more on like the spiritual edge of things, saying like, where do you fall in the chaotic order of the universe?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad actually has been on an Enneagram retreat, which is like, it's like a silent, it's not a silent weekend, but you're like totally closed off. It's like just you and the group that you like traveled with. You can't like talk to anyone outside of the group for the week or the weekend. And it's like the first stage in training to become an Enneagram like professional that like does these tests.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so he's just like way more knowledgeable about it than I am, or that anyone on the internet is, and that I could easily find. I'm sure there's someone out there that knows what the fuck they're talking about. But he was saying that like the true way to do it is through the oral tradition, which is basically listening to people talk a lot about like, and they fall under certain types, and they talk about what that type is and how that manifests, and you hear different people that are the same type talk about it and how they differ, and then you self-select which one you are. And so that's just like taking in a lot of data and analyzing data that a test cannot do, especially a multiple choice test.
Yeah.
And I think I like this one the most because it is the most dynamic in its like true tradition. because it takes into account that like you're a different person day to day. So if you like truly wanted your actual Enneagram type, it would be like a multiple week long endeavor into self-reflection and understanding, to be like, I know for sure now that through my ups and downs, my depression and my happiness, I am a type blank.
Yeah. Can I say something that's like might be like too critical of this test?
Sure.
It sounds elitist
Yeah, it does.
because the average person's not going to be able to like afford or like take time out of their day
Oh yeah.
to like do that. And then to say that like any like home kit available to do that isn't the right like way to
Yes.
do it. When like this all seems like I could just watch a YouTube. Like if it's all about like self-selection, I
Yeah.
should just be able to watch like an hour-long YouTube video with the exact same information for
Right.
free and like
Oh,
do the exact same
oh.
thing. But because
Yes.
I don't have the opportunity to like, you know, for
Yeah.
some reason when you said it was like a retreat, I just was imagining like a sweat lodge.
Oh, I mean, I think the retreat is definitely that. But I think that could be said about all of these tests, because like to be certified, you have to go through all that bullshit
Yes, 100%.
anywhere.
Yes.
But I think you're right. And I think that like spirituality and like spiritual placement and stuff like that easily becomes like self masturbatory bullshit.
And then you have like and I don't know what the origin of this is, but it could have just been like a hey, like these are the personality types that we came up with. Like you
Yeah.
can self-identify, and then there's like some dude who like decided he was going to gatekeep it all and
Yeah.
say like, well, I know the most about it. So if
Right.
you want to know the most about it, you have to like give me that money, honey,
Right.
and all that.
Also, I feel like a big critique of these is that they never give, all of the options are, if you're not thinking about it too strictly, all of them are like positive.
Yeah.
They're making the best of what you are.
Yeah.
And even mine, I'm a type 4, um, you know, however much you believe that. And
I don't know. You
I
always pick
was
me as a 7.
and I was reading the description and I was like, ouch, this kind of hurts because it's so true. But then it also, and like some of that I was like, wow, they could have been nicer about this, but they do flip it to be like, it's not bad that you're this. But I think there's just genuinely bad people
Yeah.
that don't have like that redeeming of qualities. And probably if they're taking these tests, they're going to self-select themselves as like the best one. Like imagine Donald Trump taking this fucking test.
Right. And also like you can have like a positive quality that you use to like to manipulate people. Like
Right.
if it says like, oh, you're really trustworthy, that you can like use that against people.
Right. Like I guess that's the best way to put it, is like no personality trait is good or bad. It's just neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Because then like you could, yeah, easily you could
Because
manipulate people.
then the sum of all of your traumas is like what determines how you use like your
Right.
personality trait.
Right. And using our president as an example, you could be like, okay, he speaks his mind. He knows what he wants. He is good at developing a following.
Mm-hmm.
Like those could be seen as positive traits, but he's a complete asshole buffoon.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the stats heads out there, I took 3 different Enneagram tests, mini tests. Of the 3, 2 of them listed my number 1 type, my strongest type, as a type 4. And all 3 of them listed type 4 within my top 3.
Yeah, wow.
With wings of 2 and 3 also listed in 2 of the 3.
Wow.
So I would say I fall somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Plus they say like whatever, if you're 4, 3 and 5 are like your wings, meaning you also kind of like spread out into those.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. I think it's interesting to learn about all this stuff and like why do human beings like want to categorize people so much and like want to know why we fall into these certain traits, and like we're always trying to find ways that we like fit into some larger structure that like probably isn't even really there.
Yeah. I feel like we're always in a mixed, like we're always in like the dichotomy of like, I'm not like the other girls, but I need to know what my place is if ever like
Yes.
challenged, like by
Yes.
either like an external or internal force. Be like, okay,
Yes.
no, I know myself because like this is how I identify, but I'm not like everybody. Like
Yeah.
I'm unique, and like I feel like there's an argument for both sides that being unique is both like a capitalistic ploy and also
Yeah.
like we're being robbed of our uniqueness by
Right.
capitalism.
Right. And
But
I'm laughing because my Enneagram score type 4 is like the individualist, which is wants to be unique but is also plagued by uniqueness.
yeah. Oh,
Oh
fudge.
man.
What's our rating system this week?
Let's say it's on a like on a scale of no, that's too hard. How can you rate a scale on a scale?
You can do it.
Okay, so like we'll do a Likert scale of most uh like very much agree to do not agree at all.
I love that. That's amazing.
Okay, so we'll say that's like a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is do not agree at all. 5 is agree completely.
Yeah.
I would say at first I was like true neutral. I was at a 3. I like personality tests,
Neither
but I
agree nor disagree.
neither agree nor disagree. Because I like them, but I also can see through them, I think. And like it's really easy for me to be critical of them.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's fun to know what you are and like how people perceive you. And then afterward, I would give it a 5, very much agree.
Nice.
Because while it is fun to like see all the critique, it was really fun to see all the critiques of it, but then also you're like battling the part of you that's like, no, this is 100% true about me. There's like, it might be wrong for everyone else, but for me, this is it.
Yeah. I love that.
So it was fun. And I got to talk to my dad about the Enneagram, which is cool since he like knows about it and is interested in it. All right, you want to take a break?
Let's take a break. Hey, lovely listeners. Are you like an influencer or a musician or an artist
Or a cookie baker.
or a cake baker?
Someone that makes things and aren't tied to large corporations.
This is a part of the podcast where we would probably read some cool, nicely written ad copy. And here we are just like chatting right now.
And you know, most podcasts do ad reads, but they do them for mattresses and toothbrushes and website creators.
And literally no one uses either 3 of those things.
We would love to promote like bands, artists, Instagram influencers that otherwise wouldn't get the ad reads.
And here's the kicker, you guys. It's like 1,000% free.
1,000,000,000% even.
Yeah. So just let us know. DM us.
We for real just want to do some ad reads for people that we would love to support that aren't getting this type of promotion.
Yeah.
It helps us, it helps you, and it'll be a super fun time, and maybe we'll be best friends afterward.
Yeah. So either DM us at MakeMePod on Instagram or email us at makemepod@gmail.com with what you'd like us to promote, where we can find you, and some tidbits about what you're making.
We'll let you know when we put out the episode with your ad in it, and you can promote it all over your socials and hopefully give us a shout out.
Yeah. So we hope to hear from you guys.
It's a mutual relationship.
Bow chicka wow wow.
Bow, bow.
All right, back to the show.
And we're back.
Hi, I'm less full of pee now.
I thought you were gonna say peanuts.
I'm more full of peanuts and less full of pee.
Peanuts.
And the same amount of penis.
Same amount. Luckily, nothing changed on that front in the meantime. Anyway,
hi.
Tell me about your Make Me this week.
So this week, Julia made me go geocaching.
Yay.
And before I get into it, Julia, what is your relationship with geocaching?
Yeah. I learned about geocaching in the environmental science program because it's it's like an outdoor activity that anyone can really participate in, and it's not exclusive for people that like don't want to hike and don't want to kayak and whatever. It's just like a very casual outside activity, and they were like promoting it as a way for people to be in touch with the environment that like otherwise aren't.
Yeah.
It's just like a new way to perceive the environment as like a scavenger hunt rather than just like, what, I'm gonna go for a walk through nature and look at stuff. Like,
Right.
who cares? So that's how I got interested in it, and I've done it a few times, and I've done it with campers when I was a camp counselor. It's like a fun way to teach them things because you can like place them and with like information about local animals, or you can like teach them how to like navigate by doing it, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I had a
And
lot of fun with it.
nice. So I had only heard of it in lore, basically. Like I knew it happened. And I one time accidentally found like a geocache and like was very
Where?
confused by it. It was at some park on some trail. I had heard of it before, so I knew that like what I saw, which was like a Tupperware that like had things in it, was like wasn't just trash.
Yeah.
But I opened it and I found hair in it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this
Just
is
hair.
fun. So when you gave me it, I was kind of like, it was hair, and then like when I found it, it was hair, and then like the little like piece of paper that has like your like the date and stuff that you found it. But
maybe
so
why would there be hair in it?
That's okay.
Was it human hair?
I don't know. I didn't have a note or anything. It was like and it was, I knew that it was supposed to be there because it was like a tuft, like some hairs that were like taped together.
That is so bizarre.
So when you gave me the geocaching making, I was like, okay, I'm gonna find out like what's up with that.
I'm gonna look at more hair.
Yeah, gonna go find more hair.
Can't wait.
Okay, so basically, geocaching, I did some research, is an outdoor recreational activity that uses like GPS location mixed with like either a GPS receiver or a mobile device that tracks where these caches are. Yes. CACHE, that are basically like a little container that has a logbook in it and then possibly some like trinkets and things like that.
Right. From what I know, like all of them have to have a logbook, but that's it. Like even the teeny tiny ones.
Yeah. So so you use an app, which I'll go through like the mechanics of the app in a little bit, but you use an app and you find the geocaches and then you would log like your visit to that in the it's a little book. So the history of geocaching comes from a game called letterboxing, which is about 160 years old, which uses clues and references to landmarks embedded in stories.
Yeah.
Geocaching was conceived shortly after that, after they removed selective availability from GPS systems, or GPS stands for Global Positioning Systems, but like GPS. In May 2000, because of improved accuracy of the system, allowing small containers to be specifically placed and located. The first documented placement of a GPS located cache took place in 2000 by David Ulmer of Beaver Creek, Oregon.
I'm surprised it took that long because like we had GPS.
Yeah, but like I feel like people didn't trust it. You know what I mean? I feel like when people had like the early TomToms and stuff like that, I feel like they were like, what? Like that's so stupid. Like use a map.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Plus, like it would give you a like 100-foot radius it could be in rather than something more specific.
Yeah, exactly. So the caches are typically a small waterproof container, and like I said, there's a book inside, and they typically say there's going to be a pen, and then there's sometimes trinkets, which it's usually like something of like very small value, so like very small value like currency
or hair
or like personal items, which I'm sure is what the hair like was. Like this is my personal item.
These are my pubes. I want everyone to collect and trade my pubes.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
That'd be
I'm sure there's got to be some kind of like grinder cache. I need to make grinder caching.
Wait, Grinder kind of is geocaching.
It for butthole.
The closest butthole is 50 feet away to the northwest.
And then you log it. I think that there should be like a logging.
I visited this butthole on May 12th.
So there are different variations, and clearly we're coming up with new ones every single day because grinder caching.
Grinder caching.
Yeah. So traditional geocaching gave birth to geocaching, an active urban game of the Encounter project, which I think is what the app I'm using is.
Okay.
It's the official like geocaching like app.
Yeah.
The game is quite similar to geocaching, but has time. Oh, never mind. This has time limitations and hints, which that actually sounds a lot more fun than what I did. Not that what I had, not that what I didn't do, what I did wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But I'll get into that later. So there's a traditional cache is the most common type, which consists of a container with a logbook. Exact coordinates where the cache is located are given. So like, you know exactly where it is. There's a map and you just go to that location, you open it up, and then like you're done.
Yeah, but that makes it seem way easier than I remember, which is like, it gives you a general location, but then you kind of have to search for it. Like, I found one that was like in a fence post, but it didn't tell you that. So it just like gave you the location and a clue, like, look in a wooded area. And it was like dug into a fence post.
I'll get into that because I'm annoyed. Anyway, a multi-cache consists of one or more stages, each of them containing the coordinates for the next one. The final stage contains a physical container with the logbook. An offset cache is a multi-cache in which the initial coordinates are for location containing information that encodes the final cache coordinates. An example would be to direct the finder to a plaque where the digits of a date on the plaque correspond to coordinates on the final cache.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's like an escape room.
Right. That's fun.
I'm like, that's my shit. I love that kind of
Universal
stuff.
escape room.
Yeah. Mystery/puzzle caches require one to discover information or solve a puzzle to find the cache. Some mystery caches provide a puzzle that must be solved to determine the physical cache location, and caches which do not fit into other categories are classified as mystery caches.
Cool.
A challenge cache requires a geocacher to complete a reasonable, attainable geocaching related task before being able to log the find. Examples include finding a number of caches that meet a category, completing a number of caches finds within a period of time, or finding a cache for every calendar day.
Got it.
On geocaching.com, it is considered a subtype of mystery cache, while it is a type of its own cache. So there's a bunch of different kinds.
Cool.
I didn't read about any of those until I just did the geocache thing.
Right.
Which is fine. And I look forward to partaking in the multi-step, like the multi-cache or like the mystery ones, because that kind of seems like I don't know, more like a treasure hunt. You know what I mean?
Right. And also I feel like that's a cool part about it is that you could just do it one time and just do the one.
Yeah.
Or you could get into it and then do like advanced ones. You can like level yourself up. Yes,
exactly. And there's definitely a level of patience required for some of these.
Yeah.
So I also was interested in like some like what people have found in some geocaches.
Yeah.
So on geocaching.com, which is like the official blog of geocaching, which is the app that I used, which I'm assuming is like probably like not the headquarters, but like the base of like what this is.
Yeah, whoever's running it.
Has a post from 2016, 15 of the strangest things found while geocaching.
Oh God.
Number 1, we have a goat skull found on an island.
What?
This goat skull can be found smack dab in the middle of Mississippi, in the middle of a lake on a small island where no goats live.
It's just a goat skull, like that is the cache?
I think so.
So weird.
Yeah. Number 2, coordinated llama. So the smug-faced llama would walk up and show you the coordinates of the nearest geocache, but only if you had a handful of oats.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
It's like Men in Black, kind of.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's on his neck the whole time.
Yeah. Veterans lost dog tags. Young Raymond was on a walk and set down his dog tags. 25 years later, avid geocacher Kelly something or another found them and returned them to him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I feel like it's weird to put, like, aren't your dog tags supposed to just stay on you at all times?
I don't know why he would set them down. Like, it's supposed to be like your body identifier.
Right.
Unless he was like purposely doing it, like to put in like the
Maybe
geocache.
he was evading some kind of crime.
That's true.
He
And he didn't
probably
want to be
burned off all of
identified.
his fingerprints at the same time.
A gold wedding ring lost by a geocacher in January. It was found 3 months later by another geocacher and returned safely to the owner.
Wow.
Why are you taking off how do you lose your wedding ring?
I don't know. Especially like out in the wilderness, you would think that's the last place you would take it off randomly.
Yeah. For some reason, my mind went to when gay men like cruising. It reminds me of cruising. For some reason, in my head, this guy took off his wedding ring so he could go cruising.
Yeah.
But I also have like a weird fixation with cruising only because like that's what gay men had to do before like Grindr happened. So
Right.
I'm like very invested in like what cruising culture is, and if it still happens today, who around me is cruising. And I always think that like cars parked by themselves in like parking lots are like men cruising. It's weird. I know.
Definitely think it still happens today.
I look up websites that like tell you where the cruising spots are just so like I can know what's up. Not that I want to participate.
That's also geocaching.
That is geocaching. You're right.
There was some movie with Dax Shepard where they used the Grindr app to like wasn't Grindr, but it basically was Grindr to find some criminal and like hunt him down. And at one point, the guy's looking at his phone, the criminal, and he's like, "Oh, they're 50 feet away, 40 feet away, 10 feet away," and then like their car slams into them.
That's so funny. This number 5 is geocacher finds a lost little girl. An 8-year-old girl was found crying by a stream after wandering away from her parents 3 hours earlier. Luckily, avid geocacher Mark Case was nearby, found her, and brought her to safety.
Whoa. So this is stuff that you find while geocaching, not that the kid was the cache.
Yeah. I'm going to skip around. Number 8 is a ripe watermelon on a cliff.
What?
Number 9. Oh, yeah. Geocacher found a ripe, firm, lonely watermelon on a ledge 20 feet up from the ground after an arduous hike.
They should have kicked it off.
I know.
That would be fun.
Someone found a woman trapped in her car for 14 hours.
Holy shit.
Other people have found just like a lot of jewelry.
I mean, I guess this would happen. I guess like this is just a product of being outside in nature looking for stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're gonna find some weird stuff.
Yeah. On the Wikipedia page, there have been other interesting stories. These are kind of morbid. Some people have died geocaching.
Yikes.
The death of a 21-year-old experienced cacher in December of 2011 while attempting a groundspeak cache that does not look like at all dangerous led to discussion of groundspeak forums of whether changes should be made and whether cache owners of groundspeak could be held liable. Is
groundspeak an organization?
Yes, it is. I think it's another geocaching like organization.
Whoa.
In 2008, 2 hikers on Mount Hood, Oregon, United States, after spending the night in a snow cave, stumbled across a geocache and were able to phone this information out to researchers, resulting in their timely rescue.
Whoa.
So that's like the opposite. That it was beneficial. In 2015, the Coast Guard were called to a group of geocachers who were spotted walking into the Severn Estuary off the coast of Clevedon, England? Clevedon. Clevedon sounds like something that I would like call Cleveland.
I was gonna say like some ignorant grandpa calls it Clevedon.
Yeah. In search of clues to a multi-cache. Although they were safe and were able to return to land, they were considered to be a danger and were airlifted back to the shore. Oh, in danger, not a danger. Which
danger to society.
This actually leads to my next and last part of my research is that I didn't think about this, but there has been like ethical and legal considerations around geocaching. And that like some people were putting geocaches in like kind of dangerous spots, like electrical boxes, which like obviously aren't like really safe places for people to like be sticking their hands in. But also there have been times where people have been looking for geocaches and they've been stopped by law enforcement for like suspicious behavior. So there's been a lot of like talk around it.
So it's very much a white person activity.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. I've been following a bunch of Instagram accounts about people of color in nature and like making outdoors more inclusive.
Yeah.
And I totally see how this is not something that a person of color is just gonna like go out and do. Like they're gonna
Well,
find the ones close to trails and stuff.
right, exactly. And that guy couldn't even like bird watch without being harassed.
Right, exactly.
You
In a
know,
park, a
in
public park.
a public park. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like that woman is. All right, we don't have to go into it. I feel like we talked about it a lot. Not that we
Fuck Amy
shouldn't be
Cooper.
talking about it. Yeah, fuck Amy Cooper. And thank God that dog is in a better place.
Yes. Also, love that Twitter found out her name and where she got the dog from within like 12 hours.
Yeah. I mean, like that. I attribute that all to like the Tumblr kids who like would have to actively like dox people with like their home address and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is still kind of problematic because you can just decide that. But
Right.
Anyway, schools have even been evacuated when a cache has been seen by teachers or police, which such as the case of Fairview High School in Boulder, Colorado in 2009. A number of caches have been destroyed by bomb squads. Diverse
shit.
locations from rural cemeteries to Disneyland have been locked down as a result of such scares.
Whoa. Yeah, I've heard about them being in like very public places like baseball stadiums and stuff. That seems like I do not want to be the person to try to place those.
Yeah.
And try to find them. Like if you're sneaking around like a NFL arena, that's like not good.
Yeah. Being very new to this like whole like hobby, I guess. I'm not going to like say how it should and shouldn't be, but I feel like putting them in private property is probably not a good idea because like you're not only setting yourself up for something bad to happen, like you could be putting people in danger. And like if you think about younger people who like might not necessarily understand that like what they're doing could be perceived as something else,
right,
could be putting them in a really bad position.
Right. Or just like as a white person, I have a lot more freedoms to like look suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Someone's just going to be like, what are you doing to me? Whereas they might call the police or worse to someone else.
Exactly. So geocaching is illegal in every country except for North Korea, but that's because GPS and other mobile devices are illegal.
Okay, but what else is legal in North Korea? Not much.
You're right.
Not much for fun.
But like I said, it's still kind of iffy on like the laws about it. In South Carolina, in the South Carolina House of Representatives, they passed a bill 3777 in 2005 stating it is unlawful for a person to engage in the activity of geocaching or letterboxing in a cemetery or in a historic or archaeological site or property publicly identified by a historical marker with the express written consent of the owner or without the express consent of the owner.
That makes sense.
This sentence kept using "an historical." That was confusing. I don't know how to read sentences. Yeah, exactly. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources required geocachers who wish to place a geocache at an Illinois state park to submit the location to, on just like report it to the authorities. Oh, and put it on a map. So I guess if it's ever questioned, you have like written like whatever
documentation.
Yeah. But that concludes my research.
Cool. I just never considered all that stuff because it just seems like a fun activity, but I think it's so obvious that there's contention about like putting these things on any property that's not yours and then like sneaking around to find it. But it is fun. But especially because not that many people know about it, I can see how it's scary.
Right. Exactly. And even when I was doing it, I was like, am I gonna like look weird doing it? And at first I was like, oh, I don't give a shit what people think. But I was like, oh, wait, no, there's like other reasons like why this could look weird. Like not just like, oh, look at that weird guy. It's more like one was like, it looked like in someone's backyard. And I would assume that they put it there. And I didn't think about it until like I was doing research. I was like, oh, wait, shit. They might not have been the person who put it there. And I'm just like, I'll go into like what it was before.
Right. But then
later.
People aren't looking at you saying, oh, what a weirdo for geocaching. They're like, look at that guy being suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. for some reason, in my head, I was like, I will just tell them that I was looking for something I dropped. I was like, why would I, like, it's even worse
Worse to
to like
lie about.
lie about it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, what did you drop then? And I'd be like,
A Gladware container with hair
yeah.
and a notebook in it.
But it has to stay there. So I downloaded the app like very soon after you had given it to me. I think I like did it right then and there. So when you open up the app, you have to create a profile, and it kind of tells you like how many finds you have, if you hidden anything, if you have any favorites, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the map to find like your geocaches, and it's like it looks like a regular like topographical map.
Yeah.
Well, is that a top? It's like it looks like a satellite view, so it's not topographical. Right. But you can obviously change the view. And then when it shows your location, then it shows you like all the caches around you.
Right. Like
So,
it's just like little flags of where they are placed.
Exactly. So you can click on one, and then you can then it'll direct you there. The one weird thing about the map is that it kind of acts like a compass. So you know how like when you're driving and in the map it goes by like your movement and it assumes like the direction that you're facing based on like the movement. This one will move as you turn, so that's kind of disorienting.
That's annoying.
And I'd rather just like look at the map and it stay that way, but
yeah, be static.
I figured it out. Okay, forewarning, I had a bad mental health week last week, so I did my geocaching today.
Okay.
And I couldn't do that much anyway, just because like of time limitations, all that kind of stuff. But what I liked about geocaching was that I just got to walk around my neighborhood. I live like outside of a city, so I have the benefit of probably having like a lot of geocaches around me that I can just like walk to from my front door.
Yeah, just looking on the map, like I had to look at it before I gave you the make me just to make sure that it was available to you, and there was like 50 more than there are around me. There's like one in my general vicinity.
Yeah. So one was like less than a half mile away. So that was the first one I did this morning, and it was nice because like it was already in the neighborhood that I walk my dog in anyway. So that was like really, really nice that I could just like walk out. So the first one that I did, I thought I knew where I was going and I didn't. And I found out that there's a road in my neighborhood that I didn't even know existed. I just like, it's so weird because like I will usually walk my dog up a road and then like do the block and then walk just the exact opposite direction, just like parallel to the road I just went in. But apparently there's a road in between those roads. Oh. So already my world has already expanded by just like by just doing it. So a lot of the geocaches will have titles.
Yes.
And then the title of this one was Sweet Treat Little House.
Right. And so they like give you a kind of a clue to where it is, right?
Yeah. So when you click on it, it says like Sweet Treat Little House on it. And then it gives you like a number, and then you can ask for a hint.
Right. Okay.
I didn't have to use the hint of this one, and it also gives you like a difficulty, a terrain, and then like the size of the geocache.
Right, which
so
is
like
good,
you know what you're expecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't use the hint because I found this one, but the hint on this one was if you wander behind, you'll find it under that sweet little house.
Got it.
So I had been in this neighborhood before, and I thought I had been in this in where this intersection is, and I hadn't been. So I went back there and I looked up, and there's like a tiny little like kid's house, which is the exact reason why I got nervous, because I was like, I'm just gonna be this dude wandering around this like little tiny kid's like house.
Right, like opening the doors and windows, looking in it.
But luckily I found it underneath.
Right.
And it was
fast, right?
Yeah, real fast. Because I saw it from like the road. So like I got to walk directly over there.
Okay, cool.
And it was like in one of those little like to-go containers, like the cylinder ones, and it's like short with like they're clear.
Oh, yeah.
And inside of this one was just like the logbook, and it didn't have a pen, which I did, so I didn't get to log on the paper. And it had like some pebbles and some coins. And what I had read is that like it's fair game to like take stuff out of it as long as like you place something of value in it. But I didn't really need coins or rocks, so I took one of my dog poop bags and I put it in there. I'm kind of hoping that like maybe one day it'll come in handy for
someone
somebody.
will need it.
Yeah. I like personally will like there'll be times where I forget my bags and I'm like, okay, either I hope he just like doesn't poop on this walk, which I mean, like what's the point of walking him if he's not gonna poop? And if he does, I hope no one's around.
Right.
But I'll do like the thing where like if I do forget a bag and he does poop, I'll be like, I'll come back for it. Like I'll be
Yeah.
back. But then I get home, I'm like, okay, no one like
Like
no
I'm,
one
I'm
saw.
not going back. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, it was like a success. I was still bummed about like not being able to log it, but it was fine. I was excited about it. And I got really excited because like I had like I saw a new place. I like kind of got a rush when I found it.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then I got to log it on like the app. So once you find it, you can click log.
Yeah.
And then you can like write like your comments or whatever about it.
Oh, or you can. I've seen. Maybe not, but can you say like, oh, the clue says it's under the house, but it's actually been moved
Yeah. So
slightly.
like I said, I just tried to find it first. So when you're on like the geocache on the app, you can click activity and it'll list all the people who had found it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and another helpful thing is that it'll tell you before you even go to look for it, the last time it's been found. So
Okay.
I went and looked. The ones I went to look for were ones that were had been found recently because I didn't want to waste my time with like ones that had been moved or something.
Right.
And I noticed that there's like everyone kept saying like their comment or whatever, and then they would say TFTC after, and I was like, I don't know what that means, so I had to look it up, and it means thanks for the cash.
Oh.
So it's like it has this like own little like acronym,
That's fun.
and it's cute, and like everyone like a lot of them are like, this was my first find, took the dog with me so she could be part of the adventure.
Oh, that was like you.
Yeah, out enjoying the springtime weather with our daughter, finding several caches in the area.
That's fun.
Yeah, my little sister found it, someone said. So
I definitely feel like this is a good family activity, especially since as a single white male, you might be more suspicious. Like if you had kids with you, you could be like, oh, we're playing a game.
Yeah. So that one was a lot of fun and I felt like really invigorated, and I was like, okay, that'll be the one that I do and I can report back. But I decided I was going to go out on a solo adventure to like do one on my own. Without Squid, just because like he was kind of tired, it's kind of hot, so
yeah,
I was like, I'm just gonna go out and do this, and it was about to rain, so I went out, and it was only like a half mile away, which it was right at like the mouth of Frick Park, which there's a ton in Frick Park, and I'm kind of excited because I want to go into Frick Park and like look for them now.
Yeah.
So first of all, I was on a busy road, and like one nice thing that happened was like this really nice gentleman. I was trying to cross the road where there wasn't like a sign or anything that says people need to stop. So like there was a ton of people coming, and I was at like a T like intersection, and like I was trying to cross like the top part of the T, and people just kept coming. And this guy who was trying to turn right out of there got in the way of everyone who was driving and like waved me to go.
That's
and I was
nice.
like, that was so nice of you. And like someone went honked at him, and I was like, and he was like, you're good. Like it was great. Like
right. People are inconsiderate.
But anyway, got to this one, didn't find it.
Oh, really?
And people found it like 2 days ago. And I feel like an idiot. So this one is called, let me see if I can find it. This one's called Daredevil series Karen page, which fuck you, Karen.
Yeah, fuck Karens.
It says the difficulty is a 1 and the terrain is a 1 and the size is like the smallest size. And
those ones are hard, right?
I guess I kept finding like garbage, and I was like, is this it? It's like no, just garbage. So one thing to like keep in mind is like garbage. But when I was reading about the geocaches, I found that like some people like consider it littering to do the geocaches. So some people who like put the geocaches out have a trash out cash in thing where they'll like clean up the area of like
that's nice
of litter when they put the geocache in to like put like the environmental impact. Yeah. Which I think is really
I can
nice.
see how people would find them and throw them away.
Yeah. So I never found it, and I'm really upset because I brought a pen this time because I didn't get to log it, and I brought a bouncy ball with me to put in the thing. Like I was like ready to participate.
That's
like,
so
fully.
fun. That would be a fun thing to find.
Yeah. So the description is, come to Frick Park to grab another Daredevil cache. So I think this woman has like her own
series.
Like, a series. In her first appearances, Karen is the secretary for the law firm of Daredevil's alter ego, Matt Murdock, and mutual love interest of both Murdock and his partner Foggy Nelson. Her relationship with Murdoch hits a downward spiral. This one has a story.
That's cool.
Yeah, her relationship with Murdoch hits a downward spiral when he reveals his secret identity to her in Daredevil number 57, which came out in October of 1969, setting off a
Wow.
long breakup, which concluded with her departure from the series in issue 86. Within these final stories, she trades her profession of a secretary to become a film actress.
Hmm.
So I think this was based off of like the
Like a
Daredevil
whole.
comic book.
Oh, yeah.
I never fucking found it, and I'm really
That's
upset.
such a bummer.
And some people were like, "Oh, this was really hard to find," and other people were like, "Oh, I had to come back for the second time. I can't believe I missed it. The last time it was found was on the 17th, and
Oh my
today,
God, you
while
should
we're
go
recording,
back.
I'm going. It's like a place that I walk sometimes, so I don't know.
I think that sometimes I haven't done it in so long, which I guess goes against the make me premise, but whatever. Where like you don't want to look at the comments for a while because like sometimes people give it away, but then sometimes you need to because they'll give you extra hints if it's like an extremely hard one.
Yeah. So, and the hint was Guardian, and I kept looking in the guardrail, which was right next
Yeah.
to me, and I couldn't find it. And I found something that was like nailed to a post, but I couldn't think that was it because I was like, if it's just a geocache, it's not gonna be like nailed to like city infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I never found it, but I'll go back.
Is there a marker that people put on the caches so that says like this is a geocache, don't throw it away?
Not the one that I found. It was just like the logbook, and it was like an official like geocache logbook
Oh,
inside.
that's
It had
nice.
like, and it said like don't throw this away. Like the paper said like don't throw this away,
Yeah.
or like this is the official logbook or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see like any. It's not marked on the outside of the one I
Yeah.
saw. But there's like a few in Frick Park that I want to go find.
Cool.
And then the last thing I'll say is that I found like on the app there are different like missions you could, not missions, but like different like things that you can do. And what they're doing right now that ends on July 5th is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Fun.
like geocaching thing, and you have to find different ones, and they all represent like the different Ninja Turtles. It's like an advertisement ploy, but still.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You can like run into Krang while you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. But
So
overall,
what's your rating?
So before I think I would give it like agree, slightly agree.
Okay.
And then now I would give it only because I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know how, like, I wasn't anticipating like the emotional thrill I got out of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Also, I feel like the frustration can be kind of motivating too, right?
Yes. And that's what the success made me want to do a second one, which I wasn't going to do. And the failure of the second one made me only want to do more.
Right. But I feel like if you started with the failure, you'd be like, fuck this.
Yes, exactly. I'd be like, okay, well, the system's flawed and like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
And then now I think I'm like, I strongly agree because I'm definitely going to probably like put this in like my back pocket of things to do, because like, you know, you go to a park and you probably do the trails multiple times, like, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Well, now if I have like a goal to meet, I can go do that, and it can be like an added layer of like anticipation and adventure to it.
Plus, I feel like because we're in quarantine, I've been walking the same neighborhoods, the same paths over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like sometimes you get bored and you're like, well, why do I want to go on my quarantine walk when I'm not seeing anything new?
Right.
Now you
exactly.
can like have an added fun piece.
Exactly. So I'm excited, and it doesn't require a lot of work, and you don't necessarily have to do like, you wouldn't have to like, it's an activity where you don't have to like go out and do something that you wouldn't already be doing, because it is just like going out for a walk.
Right. There's not like a prerequisite other than having to be out, like being able to get outside.
Right. Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's geocaching.
Sweet. So you're gonna do it again? Now I'm like all amped. I want to do it too.
I'll probably start doing it like on my walks through Frick Park and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Geocaching has its inclusivity problems, but is ultimately fun.
Which we can actively do things to make outdoors more accessible for people of color.
Yes, I have been trying to learn myself on that, and I've been following some really good people. To follow would be Hood Naturalist, which is a woman named Corinne who's very knowledgeable. And also, um, there's Black Girls Trekking and Outdoor Afro. Those are just 3 that I really
Nice.
like.
Love it.
Great.
Well, cool. Are you ready for next week's Make Me?
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay,
Okay.
Julia. Next week, I want you to invent a cocktail for me.
Ooh, fun. That's going to be
I
great.
thought you'd like that one.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay. So next week for you, I want you to teach Squid a new trick.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Wait, he needs this
He
anyway.
needs it.
Okay.
Boundaries, structure.
Oh, cool. All right. Next week's going to be so fun.
Yeah, uplifting,
Cool.
lighthearted. Oh my
Um,
God, I'm so excited. You got me on the simple syrup bandwagon, and so I'm gonna make you something lit.
oh, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Before we go, I have a make me for our listeners.
Yes, please.
Okay, listeners, I want you to, if you have ever paid for a dating app service, I'm talking eHarmonies, I'm talking Match.com, I'm talking Chemistry.com,
Tinder Pro,
Tinder Pro, Grinder Pro, OK Cupid Pro,
Coffee Meets Bagel Pro.
Coffee Meets Bagel Pro, Raya. You have to pay for Raya.
No, they have to accept you though.
The League. I feel like you should have to pay for Raya and the League if you're gonna be like dating.
If you're gonna be rich,
Yeah. Anyway, if you've used any of those, like I'm mostly speaking like Match.com and maybe like eHarmony, because those are like the ones
yeah,
that were peddled to us, not to us,
Plenty
but
of
like
Fish.
I don't think you have to pay for that one.
Oh shit.
But if you paid for like a dating profile and then you found success in that dating, I want you to write in and tell us what happened.
Yes.
Because I just want to know what happens. Like, how does it work?
And I want to know if there's some weird psychological stress because you paid for it.
That's okay. That's part of what I'm thinking. Like, okay, how does it look different than like OK Cupid? Because on OK Cupid, you still get to write. You answer all these questions and you fill out all these profiles and you like you have like a percentage match of like how you could like get along with them. But do you get the we paid so we're more serious, or do you get the we paid so we expect something weird possibly, or like you feel entitled to something,
right? Or like I paid so now I feel like it's not as real because I paid for it and they have to give me some sort of outcome,
right? Or is it a scam? Like is it not any different than like
right?
Tinder and
This is a great make me.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Call us. Call in
at 666-911
420-69.
Yep. Extension 867-5309.
Yep, that's it. That's our email address.
Ask for garb.
And as always, I just want to say keep donating to Black-run organizations, keep buying from Black-owned businesses, and ultimately just keep educating yourself and doing what you can to support the causes. Right now, for instance, I'm reading So You Want to Talk About Race, and I've been talking to people about it as I go along. That's just one option. Follow those outdoor people of colors in the outdoors accounts that I said earlier. Honestly, every hobby you have, every interest you have, there's a way to make it more inclusive. So look it up.
Do you want to quickly say who we donated to from last week's Listener Make Me?
Yes. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
So I donated to the Loveland Foundation, or Loveland. It was started by Rachel Cargill, and it's a way, it provides therapy and other therapy resources, mental health resources for Black women and girls.
Nice. And I donated to the Black Queer Intersectional Collective, and their mission is a grassroots community organization that works towards the liberation of Black, queer, trans, and intersex people from all walks of life through direct action, community organizing, education on our issues, and creating spaces to uplift our voices.
That's great.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I feel like here's just 2 more options of places you can donate to. I feel like people get a little jaded just donating to like the umbrella Black Lives Matter organization, though that is a worthy cause. I think just people, because they don't feel connected to it, it's harder to be motivated maybe to donate. So, I'm personally interested in mental health services for women. So I felt great about learning about the Loveland Foundation and donating to it. And I feel probably you feel similarly about your organization.
Mm-hmm.
So finding personal connections to this work is also important, so that you're not just doing it because you feel like you have to, but you're doing it because you're actually involved and you care.
Yeah. Love it. All right. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Until then, don't forget to kiss your doggies goodnight.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Jordan and Julia. Thanks for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it.
For content related to this episode, follow us at MakeMePod on Instagram. And you can hear episodes each week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you find us anywhere else, please let us know.
You can also send us your questions, comments, make me suggestions, pictures of your dog, or requests for unlicensed medical advice to makemepod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, etc., etc. That's how we get discovered.
Please, we need to be clicked.
But for real, leave a comment so we know you love us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.